What is that? Some kind of zombie hiker. Good morning. I had one of the wildest nights I've had on trail so far. I had eaten and hung my bear bag by about 3:30, maybe 4. Got into my tent, cleaned myself up, changed clothes, did all the things that I usually do, and had settled into editing my video for the day. And I heard some people outside, and I had heard people walking by, but these people sat down. So I poked my head out the tent and introduced myself. And they were just day hikers. So I zipped my tent back up, got back to doing what I was doing. I had one of my earbuds in all the while, and then I heard what sounded like a family, and they had kids, like, I'd say maybe 7 and below, and they were staying. I thought, okay, they're not just out for a day walk. And then I heard one of the kids say, "We're camping." And I thought they were just playing like they were camping, because I'm out in the middle of nowhere, right? Stealth camping. Surely there's not a parking lot that's close enough that they could just walk in. But I did happen to pick this stealth spot that was at an intersection of the Appalachian Trail and another trail. Sometimes when that happens, it is a trail that is more likely used by the locals. So then I started hearing stuff being dumped, and I opened my tent and I looked out. Was already getting pretty drowsy, and I looked, and there's a woman with 3 kids, and I forgot to say that prior to this, when I was listening to their conversation, because I couldn't help but listen, it sounded like there had been another woman, and she was giving this woman instructions about her kid as far as food and other things. And then I heard them taking pictures, and then I heard her say, "Good luck," and her voice was no longer heard. So when I unzipped the tent, I saw that there were 3 kids, looked to be under 7 or 8. The youngest looked to be about 3 or 4. And I thought, okay, great. So I started weighing my options, because they were noisy. Do I get up and take my tent a little farther up where I saw that there were more stealth spots, but not as good as this one? Or do I just grin and bear it and try to make the best of it? I finally decided to stay there. I heard, it sounded to me like a woman and 2 guys. Heard one of the guys say, "I'm going for a walk." And then a little bit later, I hear the woman talking to the man on the phone, and hearing bits and snatches of their conversation. Well, he's lost. She kept asking him if he had all trails, and so she's telling the other guy about it. Said he tried to drop a pin, but it's not working. So the other guy, she said he only has 17% charge on his phone. So the other guy, I hear him say, "Well, I'll go look for him." Do I look for the blue blaze or the white blaze? I'm thinking, oh no. Well, he left. and the woman and the kids sounded like they were building a fire. It started to get duskish, and I fell asleep. I don't know what time, but around 9:30. Oh, I forgot to say that when I unzipped my tent and looked at the lady, I looked back, and there I saw a red and white tent and a couple of hammocks. So along about 9:30, I hear this loud boom. I'm thinking thunder. No, it's not supposed to rain. There's a high pressure cell settling over us, and it's going to get really hot. That's what Bud told me. And I'd heard other hikers talking about how it was going to get really hot. So eventually I figured out that it was a fireworks display. And it went on for 15 or 20 minutes. And then after that, after I woke up for the fireworks display, it seemed like about every hour I was waking up hearing this kid whining. And that went on till at least 2:30. And at 2:30, I fell asleep. Well, I woke up this morning at about 5, and I unzipped my tent and looked around, and all I see is a backpacker's tent, a green tent. The other tent had been red and white. So I did not hear them get up and pack up and leave. You would think kids would be making noise. I did not hear a thing. So now I'm wondering, did I really see and hear what I thought I saw and heard? Could they really be that quiet when they packed up? Did the woman get scared and walk out in the dark? I never saw a flashlight. And I don't know if they carried the stuff in a backpack or what. So did she walk out by herself? Or did the guys come back? Were they walking in the dark all that time? I don't know. It was really strange. But I don't feel as bad as I thought I was going to feel with as little sleep as I got. And I never saw the person with the backpacker tent. I got up pretty early this morning. It's about 5, and I was out of there by, I guess, a little after 6. Maybe about 6:15. I've already seen several hikers pass me this morning while I was packing up my tent. And my plan today is to do 17 point something to, I think it's called Darlington Shelter, and that will leave me about 10 or 11 into Duncannon the next day. I've been worried about whether I'm going too fast or too slow, where I am in relation to the bubble. And there is a website, I think it is called Where Are the Hikers? It is not real time, but it shows you what they project, or where they project people are that are through hiking right now, based on 15 years worth of averages, I guess. And right now the bubble is somewhere in Maryland. The bubble. There are other little bubbles, but the area that I am in right now shows another much smaller bubble pretty far ahead of me, and then there are like little blips of hot spots all along the way. So I take that to mean larger groups of hikers, but not a bubble. So, and that's not real time, that's just projected based on numbers from past years. So thought that was interesting, but honestly, if you go back and watch my announcement video, I'm feeling like I need to be further ahead of where I am, so I'll be further ahead of the bubble. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like my best right now is not good enough. And like I need to do a little bit more in order to be okay. Not so I can excel and beat everybody, just so I can feel okay. So somebody made a comment a while back saying something like me being out here to work on my issues. No, I'm not out here to work on my issues. The truth is, I work on my issues all the time, even at home. And the truth is, everyone has issues. If you don't think you have any issues, you were deceived. And if you're a Christian, there are always things that we need to be working on. I'm not talking about just psychological garbage from our past, but working on being more like Jesus, being less selfish, less self-centered, more other-centered. And I believe I might have said that, at least to other people, that is one of my goals, not just out here, and I seem to be failing, but also at home. But I am not out here to work on issues. I am out here to hike God's hike, whether that is to be out here for someone else, or whether it's to be out here so that He can mold me and make me into who He wants me to be. And I see things happen every day that assure me that I am out here because it's what I'm supposed to be doing for whatever reason. I don't have any grand goal. I'm trying to think if there is anything else. I understand, and I'm kind of remembering that I am going to go through some pastures and some cornfields, or fields, farm fields for sure. I'll go through Boiling Springs. They used to have an ATC office there, but my understanding is that it is no longer. But there is a spigot on the side of the building where we can get water if we want. This will be a long, hot stretch, and I am glad there's some road walking, and I am glad that I'm getting an early start. And I'm very much looking forward to staying in Duncannon. This is interesting. I think this is a sinkhole. You can't even really see the depth of it very well, but it's just a big, deep hole down there. I don't like it that on video you can't really see the depth of things or the inclines and stuff like that. It's had some good reviews. It was not there when I came through the first and second time, and it's called kind of outdoorsy, and I believe it's underneath an outfitter in the basement, if I understood that correctly. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but that is my plan for now, to stay there. Again, it's fairly inexpensive, especially compared to the hostels that I stayed in the first few states. So anyway, I guess that is it for the morning report. This is Rebound, signing out. had a little bit of cell service last night, and I tried to answer a few comments, one of which was asking, do I have to stay at the listed stealth sites, or can I camp anywhere? I don't think I did a very good job of answering that with one finger on a phone. So I am just going to say that there are no stipulations that I know of along the AT that say you can't camp anywhere you want to unless it's private property, or there's some sign saying do not camp in this area, revegetation area, only if it says that you can, and those places are few and far between. However, most of the stealth campsites that you find on Far Out are not listed officially. They are listed in the comments by people who have seen them, saying, hey, here's a spot, it's relatively flat, can fit 2 or 3 tents here, grab water at the stream beforehand, or a great view here, beautiful sunset. I camped here last night at 560.7 mile marker and it was awesome. Something like that. So if it is an official campsite, sometimes it will be listed in AWOL and sometimes it will be listed right in Far Out. But most of the stealth sites that I am seeing are listed in the comments by people who have seen it or stayed there. That said, if I wanted to just plop down in the woods anywhere, let's say I decided that I wanted to hike until around 5 o'clock. And then I was just going to set up my tent wherever I am. That does not always work, because sometimes you're on the side of a mountain with a steep incline on your left and a steep drop off on your right. There is no place to camp. Sometimes you're in a place like Virginia where you got tall, thick brush on either side of you, and there is no place to put a tent. Sometimes you're in the middle of Rock City, and there are just rocks everywhere, and you literally cannot set your tent there because there are rocks. So, and then sometimes the woods are just not conducive. Let's say this, for example. Would you want to camp in that? How could you even, if you wanted to, unless you had a machete? Now this right here, I wouldn't do it. You could set up your tent in this nice soft grass, but I have a feeling this might be private land, and I personally wouldn't do it. So, I hope that answers your question. I also had someone ask me, I think it might have been Raid in a text, if I was almost always alone at stealth sites or other people had come later in the night. I would say that very often happens, especially if it's a larger site, but sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes the stealth sites that people list in the comments are no more than a place for one tent in and amongst the brush. How it got there, I don't know. Maybe somebody brought a machete with them and cut it down one time, and then people continue to use it. I don't know. And then you have what happened last night, where people who were out card camping or not backpackers who come in, and sometimes there are groups like Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts or some other kind of groups of kids that come in. This happened to me particularly further up north. And I don't know who they were with, but you know, kids, they just go wild. And sometimes it was at a shelter, sometimes it was not. Oftentimes there are shelters with large areas for tenting that look like they have held groups for many years, because the tenting area is so large, and that it must be a favorite for large groups. And in that case, you're probably going to have a lot of noise. But especially lately, for the most part, I've been avoiding the shelters because you've always got noise from the shelters. It's almost always assured, but not always, that there are going to be other people at the shelter with you. Even if you set up your tent, you're going to be able to hear that shelter noise. So, kind of torn. I mean, if you want to meet people out here, then you really need to stay where the people are congregating, like at the shelters, even if you stay in your tent. In 2018, I used to make it a point to always eat my supper at the shelter, even when I was staying in my tent. And I got to know people that way. But, you know, I am meeting people along the trail. I'm meeting people in town. I am meeting people when I stop for lunch at shelters. So, I know I come off like this person who doesn't want to socialize at all, or who is this loner type person who never talks to anybody, but I'm talking to lots of people out here. I'm getting to know lots of people, but for some reason, when you're hiking around the same group all the time, you get to know them. There's trail magic. There they are. Even if you're not hiking together, or you end up staying at the same place at night or the same hostel. But for some reason, I have had about 2 or 3 groups of people that I have gotten to know, and then everybody is spread out, or I'm either behind or ahead, and I lose touch with them. But you know, then I see them up ahead, and I'm so glad to see them. I mean, I don't know them really well. It's not like we're best buds or lifelong friends or anything. But it's nice when you have a group that sort of knows you. Even if you are not hiking together. This is another random act of kindness that we thru hikers so appreciate. Someone has left a cache of water. I guess the water sources must be few and far between here, but that is so kind. On my other hikes, especially the further north you go, you really need this, because some of the water sources just have played out, or they're so far apart. So thank you, whoever left that water. We thru hikers appreciate it so much. The other thing about stealth camping is that you have to almost always be packing in your water. So you need to calculate how far you're going to have to walk with that water. I don't know if everyone is the same, but since I'm rehydrating a dehydrated meal, I need 1 liter of water for rehydrating and drinking at night. I need another liter in the morning for coffee and oatmeal and drinking. And then I need another liter to get me out of there. And that's a lot of heavy weight to carry in order to stealth camp. occasionally there will be campsites listed, and often those campsites will have water at them. And that is the good thing about staying at shelters, because shelters almost always have a water source. And that is why they chose that place to build the shelter there. And I can hear our gunfire. I am glad that I saw that sign, because there were comments in Far Out scaring people, making it sound as if it was just somebody off shooting at a target, and some of them were missing, and it sounded like it was really close. If it's a firing range, I have to believe they have it set up in such a way that it's not going to be fired toward the trail, or it is otherwise in some way protecting others from any stray bullets. But that's just a guess, because I've never been to a firing range. These are from the early 1800s. Interesting. Born in 1819, died in 1894. The wife was born in 1881 and died in 1898. I just did my first 10 by 10, 10 miles by 10 o'clock of this hike, or that I ever know of. Just barely. I had a minute left to go, and that will probably be the only time I ever do that. And I'm just walking fast because the trail has been flat. And I am so grateful that I got through all of those fields. And we had some road walks and just generally uncovered path before it got really hot. I'm walking next to a cornfield right now. Forgot to say, on that 10 by 10, I started at 6, so that was 10 miles in 4 hours. Bud can do the math in his head. I'm not going to try to do it for you. Y'all can tell me in the comments how many miles per hour I was going. people who did trail magic yesterday for their son were at a crossing further ahead doing trail magic again. It was so good. I had 1 hot dog, 2 bags of chips, and a brownie, and some grapes, and a Coke, and I needed it bad today, I gotta tell you. I was just about to drop. I think I've done 15, because I've got about 3 more miles to go to the shelter I intended to go to, unless I go further. Since I am fortified, maybe I have some more in me, but not to the next shelter after this one, which is about 11 more miles. So, I don't know. I don't know. Hello, I did 17.2 miles today, and I did it by about 1:15 or 1:30. That's what you can do when the trail is flat and easy, and I really think Pennsylvania gets a bad rap. I've liked Pennsylvania every time I've been through it, so today was a pleasant day. We did go through a lot of open fields and some road walks, and I got most of it done before the heat of the day. And then around 12 or 12:30, I came to a road, and there were the people who did trail magic yesterday. They were the people that were doing it for their son, and they were there with hot dogs and Cokes and chips and sweets, and it was just wonderful. They were so kind, and I really appreciated it. And I had about a mile to no, I'm sorry, that's wrong. After the trail magic, I think I had about over 3 miles to go. I collected water about a mile before the shelter, and I had to climb uphill, but the water source here is unreliable, so I didn't want to take a chance because I was really thirsty. So it is about 2:30 now. Gotten myself cleaned up and gotten everything organized in here, and I'm getting ready to edit my videos. It's very pleasant. I've got both of the rain flies open, and I'm just gonna chill. And I haven't double checked yet, but I think I've got 11 miles to go into Duncannon tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to my shower and my hostel stay. So that is it for now. This is Rebound, signing out.